Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys are having a great and exceptional Wednesday. Even though it feels like Friday, well, it is essentially my Friday today, so it's all good in the neighborhood for me. I'm happy about that. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, today's word of the day is counterattack. Stands for return attack. At the end of the day, it's very simple. With it being 2022 being almost over with, and it's time for us to start looking for our counterattack for 2023. Food prices are high, gas is high, rents are up, real estate's up, everything is up, stock market's down. You know, everybody's saying that we're heading towards a recession, or that we're quote unquote in a recession. That's up for you to decide. I'm not going to act like I'm an economist or anything of that nature, but I will say with all sincerity that it's all about what you're doing from the day to day, outside of the norm. I always say this. I think I probably just say this every day, but taking care of yourself, take care of your kids. That's what you're supposed to do. You have them, you take care of yourself. You got yourself. You better take care of yourself, because your health is the ultimate wealth at the end of the day. Going to work, doing the job. That's the normal stuff. Are you increasing your skill sets? That's sometimes outside of the norm, depending on the situation. Are you increasing your savings? I made a video last night talking about the importance of really saving more money nowadays than anything else. It's still smart. I would probably, at this point, for working people, try to save this much and invest this much and whatnot. But if you're in a position to be on the same playing field to do so, then okay, great. But to be able to save more money to invest than investing right now is probably in your best interest. Even though, hey, I myself am doing that, but I'm doing the same. I'm investing this much. I'm saving this much every single time I make money, whether I make money from my online store. Thank you guys for the contributions. Whether I make money from doing content, from people giving me donations via Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. Whether it's me, making money from my job, or me making money from my rental properties, me making money from wholesaling real estate, whatever have you, I'm putting money away outside of paying the normal bills. That's the basic stuff, and I'm investing money, because especially when you buy the dip, and the stock market always comes back. I'm not a stock expert, but I know that in my lifetime and in just the history of the stock market, it always comes back, because that's the American way. That's the economic way of the Western world, just the world. Period. You got foreign markets too, but anyways. And to the Forex people, I'm not mad at you, but please stop inboxing me on Instagram and wherever else you find me. I'm not interested. I make my money moves the way I do it. I'm not interested in any other opportunities that you might have. Appreciate it, but it doesn't fly here. So it is what it is. I'm busy enough. I don't need another additional duty to add on. All right. But anyways, but it's time. It's time for people to be in counterattack mode, because whether you will realize it or not, you are under economic attack. I'm not talking about from corporations. I'm not talking about from governments. I'm just talking about that wars happen a lot of times without there being a shot fire. And that's really deep. Wars happen at times without there being any shots fired. Great example. Sorry about that. It's definitely my green tea time. But great example. Economic wars that have been happening for the last 2 decades now. All major cities on the West Coast, all major cities on the East Coast and whatnot, from Newark, New Jersey to New York City to Washington, D.C., now Philadelphia, now Baltimore. Yes, and I said now Philadelphia and now Baltimore. The economic war basically is the cost of living. People can't afford the rents because the rents have gone up, especially in areas where there's been historical families living in a specific area, a specific apartment building for generations, but the rents have gone up and gone to the extreme where people can't afford, regular working people can't afford to live there anymore. In all the cities I just mentioned, same thing on the West Coast: Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, all of California, all the major cities in California, the Bay Area to Los Angeles to San Diego. All right, now it's happening. The same thing is happening in Las Vegas and Phoenix and whatnot. Just like you see the same thing happening in Atlanta, Georgia, and Miami, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Austin, Texas. That's why this whole red state versus blue state crap. There might be a saving aspect from the taxes and whatnot, but if you live in a red state and you're not trying to increase your income, and you live in a metropolitan area in that red state where there's things happening economically, you're putting yourself in a position to economically lose. It's just what it is. That's why most working people can't even afford to live in live within inside the Austin city limits in Texas, and it's getting that way within the Dallas city limits in Dallas and Houston, Texas, and New Orleans, Louisiana. It's getting like that. It's already like that in Atlanta, and it's already like that in Miami, Florida, and then Tampa and Orlando was next. So that's why I say this. You know, the mantra is make money moves or live broke like a fool, because regardless of where you live at, see, there was a time 10 years ago where people could leave New York and leave LA, move to Texas, move to Florida, move to the Carolinas and Georgia, and be straight. You know, they could say, okay, cool, I can be a basic working person here. I can just go to work and pay my bills and it's all going to be good. You know, now in 2022, not so much anymore, right? To the people that have access to capital and people that have savings and are still figuring out ways to grow their money and whatnot, for the most part, they're going to be okay. And for the people that even have 2 to 3 families living in a house and building assets together, they're going to be okay. But for your regular Joe Schmo, 40-hour working week person that thinks that it's still 1985 and I'm just going to work my job and, you know, nothing bad is going to happen. I don't need to save for an emergency. I don't need to ensure that I have access to capital. I don't need to ensure that I'm putting money in other asset portfolios outside of an individual retirement account, having a 401k, investing into the stock market and crypto market, investing into insurance policies, having a side hustle, having a side business and whatnot. Those are the ones that are going to lose. See, the thing is, the one thing you can say, whether you love them or hate them, celebrities, they are the kings and queens. They have been so for a long time of multiple streams of income and multiple skill sets and multiple side hustles. Ergo, or i.e., my bad. I'm talking about I'll bring a comedian into the mix. Godfrey, one of my favorite comedians. All right, even Kevin Hart, one of my favorite comedians. Tiffany Haddish, great comedian. Even had a great chance of seeing her perform live, and almost ran her over because she was in the way of the men's bathroom. But anyway, but you've seen them. They're acting. They're on stage. They have their own tours. They got their own businesses. I remember Tiffany announced that she, trying to create a grocery store in her old neighborhood in Los Angeles. She's buying apartment buildings for foster kids because she was a foster child, trying to buy a school and whatnot so that you can help train the next generation of entrepreneurs, comedians, and whatever. Same thing with Kevin Hart. He's doing a lot of business things. He has his own production company. Look at Godfrey. You see him on movies, you see him on television shows. He's still doing his tours and whatnot. He's got his thing happening online with social media. So multiple streams of income, multiple talents and whatnot. Today's work has to be the same way. The mindset of I'm just going to get a degree and everything's going to be all right is dead in 2022. The mindset of I'm just going to have a skilled trade and that's going to be all she wrote is dead in 2022, because even the blue collar workers, hey, they get multiple streams of income. They might work, say if you're an electrician or a plumber, you might work for a company, but then you're licensed and registered as an independent contractor, i.e. business person. So therefore you get more tax write-offs, and therefore when you do the side work, knowing that you're going to do it anyways, this way you're able to, when tax time comes, you get more tax write-offs because, and obviously there's more to it, so contact your CPA, but they're able to get more access to the capital and whatnot when they establish themselves as a good business, and that's another thing. Then they get the business credit. And then obviously when, they want to be able to do more side work, and then to the point, it might even get to the point where they can say, hey, employer, forget you. I got too much side gigs. I don't need you anymore. So they turn their job into an option. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. That's where we're at in the United States of America, and that's what I said. Economically, you're under attack regardless of what city or state that you live in, and you're foolish to not understand that. Now, it's not an attack to where you got. I'll use the U.S. versus a terrorist organization where you got bombs coming at you, but you're under attack to where it's like, okay, if I don't prepare, it's kind of like the rabbit and the tortoise and whatnot. If you don't, or I forget, this is an old children's story where you are one side is preparing for winter, so they're working hard during the spring and summer months, ensuring that they got their harvest and the food and whatnot, and so they don't starve, because they know when the wintertime comes, they're not going to be able to get food and get access to anything. And you got the other one that was laying in the bed chilling like, hey, I ain't doing nothing, I'll be good, I got enough, etc. and so forth. And then when the wintertime comes, the one side is good to go in regards to having resources, and the other side is like, oh man, I might die because I didn't work hard enough to ensure that I had enough food and water for the wintertime to last me throughout the winter. And that's where we are. You ever see the show Game of Thrones that's saying winter is coming? Well, family, winter is here, and winter's not going anywhere from economic perspective. So that's why it's like, You may mock the people that had the 3 families living in the house. You may mock the guy or the woman that's driving the old car and whatnot with no car payment. You might mock the person that doesn't have 7 to 8 kids or whatnot. You might mock the person that doesn't have a student loan debt, but that person that's not in that position, um, that is in the position of having multiple, even if they only have 1 to 2 jobs and whatnot, but they have multiple people living in their home and whatnot, and they're able to pay their bills. They only have to worry about a handful of bills in the sense they do house hacking. And then the people that are in the house have the same mindset. They're making economic moves. They're buying more real estate. Even in today's economy, they are opening businesses up together. And even in today's economy, they're able to save more money. Even in today's economy, because they're coming together as a freaking collective. All right, and that's because they know that in a lot of instances, this is the only opportunity that they have. I don't even think a lot of times people realize, especially people immigrate to the U.S., they're like, it looks like survival mode, but there's someone or a couple people in the house who's like, yeah, this for now looks like survival mode, but we're building something here. There's a plan outside of just being a basic person, because the problem is we're as Americans, we're just taught to be basic and be comfortable with being basic, and then we get online and whine and cry about the price of something when we're not around people that are talking economics. That's why I said, if I hear somebody talking, I don't hear economics when it's supposed to be very important what they're talking about, then I know you ain't talking about nothing. You don't have my attention. Politician, business, CEO, whatever. If I don't hear economic play, I don't care about your personal feelings. Only personal feelings I need to care about is family members and my significant other. You know, that's the only personal feelings in my dog. Outside of that, it ain't, when you go to a store, they don't care about your personal feelings. Do you pick a product? Do you have the money for the product? Yes or no? It's very black and white. A lot of times life can be gray, but when it comes to the exchange of goods and services, it's very black and white. I have a service or a good that you need. Do you have the money to pay for it? Yes or no? And that's just the way life really works. But people are under attack, and a lot of times they don't realize it. Well, even I know now everybody realizes it, but a lot of people wishes that, hey, I wish I would have cut back on this. Hey, I wish I would have did more of this. But you still have time, you still have a chance, but you just have to change the way that you do things and get rid of this status nonsense that, hey, I have to live this specific way in order to impress people that I don't even know or people I don't even like. You know what I mean? Because to me that's just a high school mentality. But anyways, speaking of a great person that was about his business, God bless the dead, good old Nipsey Hussle, still reading his book. He said, see, it's a couple of guys, couple people every generation that wasn't supposed to make it out, but decode the matrix. And in a sense, we are in the matrix where we are seeing a multitude of things that people don't want to decode because they're just like, well, why is this so expensive? This is messed up. But a lot of times people don't say to themselves, okay, how can I increase my income? How can I decrease my spending? If I'm living now, is this really the way I want to live for the rest of my life? Or am I willing to make a sacrifice for a couple of years, just like when people make a sacrifice to have a child, they make a sacrifice to get married, they make a sacrifice to join the military, they make a sacrifice to get a job, go to college, whatever. A couple of years of sacrifice. These are proven methods that a couple of years of sacrifice can come out with such great things. Having a child, the sacrifices that continuously go with that for the rest of your life. But it's the beautiful joy of people having children and raising families. The sacrifice of being in a relationship and getting married. You give up certain things to get certain things. That's a beautiful thing. Go to college, get a skilled trade. Whether it took a couple of months, couple of weeks, or a couple of years to get certified in something, hey, that was a sacrifice that was worthwhile. Joining the military, serving your country, that was a sacrifice that was worthwhile. You had to go through hell, do basic training, go through hell, to go through your training, then go through hell to be in military and be able to serve your country. But it was a sacrifice worthwhile. Anybody get into any specific career path or business path and whatnot, everything takes time or whatnot. All right. But are you willing to make that sacrifice? So it's the same thing of if you have a bunch of roommates or a couple of families living in your place and whatnot, or if you rent a room out so that you can save money instead of paying $1,500 to $2,000 per month, you're paying $500 or $600 per month to live in your room. I remember one friend of mine was telling me, she was like, yeah, I'm just looking for a room to rent because I'm barely home because she works so much, so it doesn't make sense for me to rent an apartment. She's like, all I need is a bedroom and a bathroom. I'm good. So I'm like, hey, that makes perfect sense to me, And she said, that way I'm able to save X amount of dollars. In today's world, that's very smart, screw your status. Status is not that serious anymore. It really isn't. The best status to have is when you look in your bank account, do I got it, and what am I going to do with it? In regards to having economics, the best status is being happy where you are, where you at, and where you're trying to go. That's to me, that's the best status one can have, all right? So, anyways, do the great 3 free things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Don't forget to sign up your stock market investor, crypto investor, individual retirement account investor. Sign up with all my platforms, WEBULL, Stash, Coinbase, Crypto.com. You have opportunity to make some money. And when you sign up with those programs and be able to go from there, check out the online store. And as I always say, make money moves or you're going to live broke like a fool. Take care, family.